Hello everybody and welcome to a very, very special episode of Chatsunami. I'm Satsunami and joining me for this very special, I've said it 3 times now so it must be true, episode is my very good friend and co-host Adam. Adam, how have we gotten here?
I was just thinking that myself. Hello. It's great to be back, especially on this special. Just I'll get in there as well. Special episode, as you said. So yeah, but good question. I don't quite know how you put up with me for all these episodes.
Oh, no. That's the easy part. I think the hard part is me trying to condense my waffling for 50 episodes. Do you know, it's like a fine skill. I was going to say like a fine wine, but I think that would be a disservice to wine. I'm not a wine drinker, but I imagine it would be an insult to them. Yeah, with that kind of, I don't want to say Beetlejuice intro, but you know what I mean. Saying it 3 times, but yeah,
it's gonna make it so.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna summon like all the viewers and everything. And yeah, as you can tell, or if you listen to this in the future, we are indeed recording this live on Twitch. So I'm having a look at the chat, and yeah, we have a good couple of people in. So welcome to the 50th episode. Much appreciated for you all dropping in, and yeah, thank you all for your lovely messages. There are a lot of lovely messages there, and I'm not just saying this like so that future people listening to this are like, oh my god, how many people do they have? 1,000, 2,000? It's like, no, we've got our merry bunch of awesome listeners, our core fan base.
People of the future, do you want to be awesome?
Are you?
You do.
Yeah, are you advertising for future Chatsu episodes?
I am. I'm thinking ahead. This is why you brought me in. I'm the thinker.
See, this is why I got a Terminator fan as my co-host. You know, thinking about the future of both Chatsunami and, well, not Skynet, but you know what I mean.
We just have to make it big before Skynet.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so before Skynet takes over, everybody share this with your friends, your family.
Go.
Yep, your grannies, your grandpas, everybody go. I don't care if they don't know what a Chatsunami is, just go. I'm sure they'll appreciate it in time.
Shove some earphones in their ears and press play.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just speedrun it. And we'll get those plays. We will beat Skynet.
Well, damn it. It's the only way to stop Skynet, probably.
Exactly, yeah. It's the only way to either prevent Skynet or another Terminator sequel. Yeah, this is a question of the day. Do you want your children watching another Terminator sequel? Or do you want Chatsunami to become more popular? That's the real question of the day. We're not a philosophy podcast.
We are now.
Well, we are now, yeah. Oh my god.
It's the rebrand.
Yeah, this is the rebrand for season 2.
I was just going to say my sandwich is going to transform into Aristotle.
Yeah, it's going to be like a big, like, flowing lettucey beard and everything. To which...
Toga.
Yeah, the people like listening to this in the future, like an Anchor, Spotify, you know, they're all going to be confused. They're going to be like...
by the way, I'm a sandwich. That's important context.
Do you want to not reiterate, do you want to expand on that? Do you just want to be like...
I am a sandwich.
Okay, and that's all the time we have tonight. Thank you all. Yes, you might actually see by the picture I put up for the thumbnail of this episode that, of course, I use a red panda avatar, and of course you use I was about to say Stunner sandwich, but it is just like a regular sandwich with eyes and a mouth. Yeah.
With dark thoughts, though.
Out of curiosity, seeing as this is the 50th episode, we're really going to be like just looking back in the podcast and really just the decisions that we made to get here. And no, it's not going to be laid out like a true crime podcast. It's not going to be like, Adam was just a normal person.
2020.
He was just a normal sandwich until the red panda came. Yeah, and told him, yeah, let's start a podcast together. And he's like, okay, fair enough. I'm just trying to remember when, because the very first episode that released was in November. It was the 30th of November 2020. And then the week after, I think I had messaged you and I had said, do you want to come on for a podcast episode? And you were like, yeah, sure, why not? And yeah, I am so sorry.
You haven't been able to shake me. You haven't been able to shake me like a bad rash.
No, well, I wouldn't compare it to like Star Fox, where it's like, I've got one on my tail.
Help me! I'm the Slippy of this podcast.
Oh, that is a disservice. Yeah, yeah, sorry, before we go on to like talk about the podcast, do you want to explain to the listeners like at home why you chose, I mean technically I was part of this, like I was an accomplice for why you chose like a sandwich avatar, but do you want to explain to people why you chose this avatar?
So, as you may, if you're a true fan of the podcast, you'll know that Satsunami and myself are very, very big fans of a certain game called Deadly Premonition.
Oh, yes.
And you know of Deadly Premonition, you may well know of a particular scene in Deadly Premonition where a man eats a very particular kind of sandwich, which has turkey, shredded wheat. Is it It's not cranberry, is it?
No, it is. Uh-huh.
It's cranberry, isn't it? Cranberry sauce.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything else in it, or am I missing?
Cereal. Well, cereal.
Cereal. It's not wheat. Sorry.
Oh no, wait. Sorry.
Cereal,
is it not jam? Is it cereal, turkey?
Oh, it's
and
jam. Yeah, it's not cranberry.
Yeah.
I was like, they go together. I was like, it can't be that. It's jam. Yeah, sorry, jam, cereal, and turkey in a sandwich, and this is known as the sinner sandwich. As a form of penance. And Satsunami and myself took this upon ourselves when we wanted to start. Well, when you started streaming, and then you managed to rope me and also S Banks, who you may have seen on the streams and also some of the Let's Plays. Everything, the three of us came together like a Zelda Triforce to form the Sinner Sandwiches. And we took that name, even though S Banks has never played Deadly Premonition. That's going to be Deadly Premonition until we started raving about it. But anyway, he joined, and we collectively became known as the Sinner Sandwiches. So when I became a more permanent fixture on Chatsunami, it seemed only appropriate that I get myself an avatar, and we could think of no other avatar to have than a talking sandwich with a lettucey beard.
I'm honestly surprised you made us.
My new life.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I'm honestly surprised that you used a Zelda reference there.
I know, me too. Good lord, I still yet to play a Zelda game.
This is true, actually, because you aren't the resident Zelda player in our group. That belongs to Green Shield, which I have to admit.
Nothing me.
Yeah, so just to give a bit of context, Green Shield, who is our mutual friend, of course, who does the T-posing Let's Play series with us over on YouTube at Satsunami42. And yeah, perfect. Seamless. And I always remember asking him about his name and always thinking it was a Zelda reference up until, because I thought, Zelda, he wears green, he's got a green shield. Yeah, no, he has a blue shield. I don't know where I got the green shield from. So yeah, I know. But
you played Zelda games as well. That's something that I should be making.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're not making Master Sword references. That's the main thing. Yes, and we won't touch on that story. This is one of these things that we always bring up the Master Sword story and we never touch on it, and we never will, so we're moving on.
If we ever do a Zelda episode, we may touch on the Master Sword story.
Yes. Yeah.
If that ever happens.
Yeah. If that ever... Well, Green Shield will probably be up for that, I have to say.
If he ever takes us hostage.
Yes.
It's an episode.
It's like, what do you think? I think that Zelda is Link. I think that Link is best character and he is strongest. The end. And that was the last episode of Chatsunami. Yeah, it petered out at 52 episodes. Rest in pepperoni. But funny enough, though, because as I was saying before, the initial plan with Chatsunami, or not the initial plan, but the initial episode, I did it with like a mutual friend, our mutual friend Craig, who also runs the Beer and Chill podcast, which if you haven't checked out, awesome podcast, like wholeheartedly would recommend. And we did it on D&D initially, and I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea where it was going from there. See, this is the thing. See, when I asked you to come on the podcast, did you have any ideas of where it was going to go, or what did you think was going to happen?
Question. When I first heard that you were doing a podcast, I don't really know why I presumed this, because it's not like you said this specifically, but I kind of presumed it would be like a kind of gaming like a gaming specific one. I thought it would be like a kind of video game. Obviously, maybe just I thought with your streaming and everything, I thought you might just stick to that, and that's what it would be. But I mean, and it's not I'm actually very glad, to be honest, that it's branched out and to cover films, TV, and anime and everything, and much to the benefit, I think. But I mean, that was kind of the only thing I thought maybe would be kind of a gaming centric thing. But yeah,
I honestly didn't know what the niche was going to be back then, because I have to admit, Chatsunami wasn't, and I mean you'll know this as well, but Chatsunami wasn't really at the time when I started streaming. So I started started streaming around, I think it was March. Yeah, it was around the end of or mid-March, end of March. In fact, I think it was end of March, early April, where I basically started streaming over on Twitch in 2020 because of the lockdowns and everything. I started like doing a lot of variety streaming, so I was playing like Sonic, Call of Duty, Pokemon, those kind of games. And although I was enjoying it, one of the aspects that I really liked about it was just the chatting. You know, like whenever I did a co-stream with yourself or Spying, Screen Shield, Craig, so many, you know, to list off. But you know, I really loved that dynamic, you know, being able to like chill with your friends and everything. And it almost seemed like, did you feel that way as well? That almost seemed natural to have something like a podcast or something you could just kind of, you know, slip into.
Makes total sense, like I say, because it was such a big part of your streams, was just like, you know, just chatting and like, you know, the audience, everything. So yeah, it just seemed like a natural extension. And you always have a lie. This might sound like criticism, but it's not, I promise. Like, you've always got a lie, and it's always good stuff. But yeah, so it just made sense. I'm glad you up and did it, because I think it's gone wondrously, if I do say so myself.
Oh, thank you. Well, you are half of the show, to be fair.
No,
and I'm not just...
I know the most.
I was going to say, I'm not just saying that because we're both live right now with a captive audience, you know. Chatsunami is filmed in front of a live show. No, I'm kidding. Sadly not. It's not Ant Deck Saturday Night Takeaway, which is a very Britain, UK-centric joke there.
One of these days it will rival it. That'll be Saturday night will be a battle.
Yes, it's like between Chatsunami and Deck Saturday Night. Yeah, just to explain, it's like a game show over in the UK. It's personally, it's like very family friendly and clean. It's like, it's not very interesting, but we always make jokes about those kind of shows, you know, like
it's your favourite show, isn't it?
Oh, I love it. I don't know why we didn't start off Chatsunami with that topic, discussing Ant Deck Saturday Night Takeaway.
Look it in now. That's going to be a future episode.
Oh Jesus!
We'll do a review. We'll get all the previous episodes and we'll do a deep dive.
Oh yeah, nah. What, the deep dive into my psychosis? How I went from a in fact, this is a true crime part of the podcast. You know, it's like how I was just a normal streamer, then I started watching Ant and Deck Saturday Night Takeaway, and then I was transformed into a red panda. You know, you would think there was a missing link in between, but I swear it makes sense somewhere along the line. I don't know what line. It's more like a squiggle, but you know what I mean. It's. But yeah, we always joke about that, those kind of shows, and, you know, being, like, trapped and, you know, like, the audience, because there's always, like, a fixed camera, and you're just like, oh, Lord, oh, Jesus, don't turn the camera to me, and, you know, you've always got those people that are like, woo, and, you know, they're, like, dancing and everything, and
God, yeah.
they want the attention, and it's like, it's ironic, because I am, like, the complete opposite of that, I would have to say. Like, this is me, like, broadcasting myself, and you, by extension, you know, like, live on Twitch, especially just now, you know, chatting about like our past endeavours with the podcast. But like in real life, I'm a pretty shy guy. Like if someone came up to me with a camera and was like, hey, it's a host of Chatsunami, which good luck. Ha ha ha, no face. Anyway. Sorry, that wasn't a challenge, by the way. That was just an observation.
Can you find Satsunami?
Yeah. Well, I'm not like the Where's Wally or Waldo if you're American.
You are now.
Yeah.
You are
like,
now.
Where is he? And I'm like walking around with a mustache and like the trench coat. In fact, I think I would be arrested if I did that nowadays. Remember cartoons used to do that? When it's like if you wanted to hide or go undercover, you would like wear a big like mustache and the glasses and the hat and the big brown trench coat. Nowadays you would just look like a creep.
Yeah, it was a simpler time back then.
Yes, it was a different time. But I mean, we have done a lot with the series though. I mean, there's been, we have, as you said before, we have covered like a wide variety of topics. We've gone from films, both good and bad. We've talked about like the Raid series. We've talked about less favourable ones like Birdemic, Alone in the Dark, the Super Mario Brothers film, of course. We've talked about gaming, BioShock, Halo. Actually, the Halo retrospective that we did is still one of the most popular episodes that we've ever done in terms of listens.
That's amazing to think back. Everybody listened to that one, heard me and was like, oh, enough of this, I think.
No. I mean, we have like covered... It's like, you better be.
Just half joking.
It's a smidgen of joking. But yeah, it's really interesting to think that that was back in December of last year. Because, I mean, if you think about it, last year, we initially, like, focused on, Halo. Like, Halo was so we did a Halo retrospective where we went through Halo 1 through 5, kind of expecting that Infinite would come out so that we would talk about it. And yeah, spoilers, it still hasn't come out yet.
Waiting.
And I think it's coming out in the next couple of months at the time of
Half
this.
of it's coming out in the next couple of months.
Oh, yeah, of course. You can play the
Multiplayer's coming out.
Yeah, you can... Oh, is it? Is it just the multiplayer?
It's the multiplayer, just the multiplayer, yeah.
Oh, come on. Get your act together. It's been 50 episodes. No, sorry. Since the Halo one, it's been 49 episodes. Come on. Get your act together.
More still.
Come on. But yeah, I mean, we've gone from that. We've done films, we've done gaming, we've done anime as well through the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure series. There's been a lot of streamer interviews as well. Yeah, I have to admit, they are pretty interesting.
I love those ones. I mean, I know I'm not on those ones, but like I love listening to them. Like I find them really fascinating.
Yeah, you're in the corner in those ones.
I'm holding the what's they called, the boom, whatever the boom.
Oh, the boom mic, yeah. It's like, come on, Cupid, steady.
Letting it fall into shot every now and then. Be like, oh, sorry.
Yes, and you still weren't fired for it, so don't worry. Nah, I'm only kidding. But I mean, it has been an interesting way of getting to know, like in the one hand, it's great. It's a great tool to get to know people and kind of explore, different aspects of whether it's streaming or gaming or things like that. But also, it is a great way, and this is going to sound sappy, so I apologise, but it's the 50th, so I'll be... I'm the host, I'll be...
sappy, damn it.
It's like, I'm the host, I'll be damn well sappy if I please. But yeah, it's actually been a great way to hang out with friends, I would say. Like, would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, like definitely. Because it's good to have something, like, especially in times like this where you're like, you kind of set a date and stuff, and you get something organized. It is good. It almost feels almost gives you a kind of sense of normality. Used to arrange like meetups and stuff for that in our current times.
Because I mean, it is like, and on the one hand, it's like it's great gaming and things like that, but I mean, half of that is getting tunnel vision at certain points. Whether it be like Warzone or Halo or something like that, or God forbid zombies. Getting distracted. Like, at least the podcast, you kind of have like time to breathe and like just chat about random subjects. Really, I mean, I do think it has been great just to almost have a bit of downtime. And don't get me wrong, it's like, I think that's like half of it, and the other half is definitely the planning. Would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. It probably doesn't sound it from how I talk and how I come across in these episodes, but there's a lot of effort into looking things up. But it's good to have a creative outlet, and that's what I mean. You have obviously lots of kind of creative things and do a lot of content creation. So maybe you feel differently, but I like this for just having a kind of creative outlet where you can just kind of express your opinions and stuff, without too much judgment.
No, I completely agree with you. I do think that is a great way to be able to just like not only chat about a particular topic that you're passionate about. I mean, my God, like we have a good couple episodes that have reached like the 2-hour mark, and it's purely for the fact that I can't shut my mouth. So we keep going and talking. Like, I was actually surprised that the Halo one is like, I think it's only an hour 22 minutes maybe.
Wow.
It's not as long as I thought it was, and that has kind of been a varied like length. Like, it can go as short as like 45 minutes and it can extend to about 2 hours for some of them, but it's never really gone beyond that, thank goodness.
What's the longest one?
I think it is still our Silent Night, Deadly Night one.
Oh God, yeah, that's unsurprising.
Yeah, to explain, as I was saying before, actually, when we started, we were kind of like jumping between topics. So the first episode was about, it was D&D. Yeah, it was Dungeons and Dragons. Then it was Halo. Then the third episode was like horror games. The fourth one was about, I think it was Black Ops.
Black Ops, I think.
Yeah, it was like a Black Ops retrospective. And then because we were getting into like Christmas time, we started doing like a lot more Christmas-centric episodes. So things like what was our favourite Christmas film, our top 5 favourite Christmas films. We also did one in childhood games. That was a great one we did with Craig from Beer and Chill Pod. One of the best ones, which I did enjoy, I have to say, was, and this is the one I'm building up to, was basically, to give context, Adam and I gave each other a very bad Christmas film to go away, watch, and then come back with a review. And it's over 2 hours, but it's like 2 hours, like 7 minutes or something like that, 2 hours 5. I would wholeheartedly recommend, if you're going to start with any Chatsunami episode, go with that one, because I think that was actually our very first like pre-recorded episode. So we make like a joke at the beginning where you say, oh, Chatsunami's filmed in front of a live studio audience, and then we get the clap, clap, clap. And then I started talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night, and yeah, you were less than favourable about the film I gave you. There's about an hour of you ranting about it, like in the best way possible. Like, I'm not saying like it's unfiltered rage or anything.
Well, I mean, it was close to a point. It's like an hour of me in like a fever dream trying to explain the plot of Bone Alone. That's so funny to think. It's so fun to think about, because I remember how mad I got reviewing that, and I look back and I'm like, why did I get so mad about that? Because it's really not a film that deserves like that rage. I think maybe it was just having to try and write the plot out. I think just sent me over the edge. But it's funny to look back at it now and think, like, my God, if only I'd known.
Yeah.
If only I'd known what else I'd have to watch for this podcast, I probably would have been a lot more favourable in Bone Alone, because I think it's nowhere near the worst I had to watch during the course of this. Like, I'm almost tempted now to go back and watch Bone Alone, but I'm almost certain that if I go back and watch it, I'll get angry all over again, and I'll go onto Facebook and just like berate you.
It's like, why?
He did this again.
Hashtag cancel Satsunami and the Chatsunami podcast.
God, a civil war.
But that's the thing, though. Bone Alone is a bad film, but at least it's quite inoffensive. Like, and I've used this example before. In the UK, it's like a Channel 5 film, and in the US, it's like a Hallmark film, where it's like, it's all squeaky clean, and you know, the robbers are just like goofballs and not like hardened criminals that you're gonna see. Like, you're not gonna see any of these guys in like a true crime podcast or anything. It's like,
well, apart from the dogs.
Oh yeah, the dogs, yeah, they
tried to set a man on fire in a chimney.
And drown a man in a shower, yeah.
And drown a man in the shower and do horrible stuff to another man's bum.
Yeah. Let it go. It happened in the film.
No! I can't forget what I've seen.
Oh yeah, it is a film and a half. But yeah, if you want to hear our full like opinions on the film, yeah, go listen to that podcast. It's one of the earlier episodes. But I have to admit, I really enjoyed that kind of period of Chatsunami, because again, it was like we were doing a lot of stuff in the run up to Christmas and things, and I don't know, I just thought it was really wholesome, you know, because we were talking about like our top Christmas films, and I think we agreed on It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, I think that was the number one, I think.
Again, it's a fantastic film. Go check it out.
Indeed.
At Christmas or a reputable time, but do check it out. But is there any like kind of period of Chatsunami you say was your favourite out of the whole series?
Good question. I mean, I've honestly enjoyed, and this isn't me just waffling, it's me kind of waffling, but it isn't like, I've enjoyed the whole run of it from first episode, right? I think this is my 30th episode, I think I was counting up. It's obviously like the 50 you've done some others with other people and everything, but like I've enjoyed all 30 episodes that I've been on. I think if I was to pick a favourite period, there was a period earlier this year, like maybe around, I'd say probably around April time. I've actually just got the episodes here. I'm thinking if we kind of marched April time, I would say this year, when we started doing like what we call it when we're coming up with these episodes. I think we term them as like video essay type content. So we talked about nostalgia in video games, like video game hype. What was the other one? We kind of did a deep dive into like into Star Wars games as well and things like that. And that I just really enjoyed that kind of going in depth into these kind of topics, because I wasn't really sure like because Satsunami is the one who suggested these ones, and like I was really intrigued by hearing about them, but like I remember when I first heard them I was like, what am I going to say about these things? And then so I went away, did some work, and I was like, oh my God, there's so much to say here, and like, you know, I came up with so much things to say, and that I really enjoyed that, because I felt like I just really liked kind of going, you know, deep diving into things and like, and doing a bit of research and everything. So if you're gonna force me to pick a favorite period, I'll go with that one, kind of March, April this year when we started our deep dives.
No, I honestly, I agree. I do think that our kind of video essay-like topics are quite interesting to do, because I remember saying to you about, like, for example, there was the episode about hype, and granted, I did keep it kind of vague when I suggested it. It's like me knocking on your door and just saying, hype. You're like, Satsu, I don't understand what you're saying. Hype. It's like, no, please, like, explain. What do you mean? Do you mean, like, in a particular game? Do you mean in a particular series? Hype. And then I just walked home, like 10 hours later. Hype. But we got a lot of interesting discussion out of these topics. And that's the thing, though. I feel as if with these episodes, it's definitely almost like a game of Pong. I suppose that's the fundamental of a podcast, but it's amazing how much it grows. Like the topic you're discussing. Yeah. It's not just like I say something to you and then you're like, yes. And then that's that pause.
I'll see you on Wednesday.
And then you just, it's like the Discord disconnect sounds like,
talk to each other for the whole time.
Yeah. See, once these episodes are over, we don't talk to one another. We just like quarantine ourselves until the next Wednesday or Thursday. And we're just like, yep, see you next time. Hello there, everybody. Nah, jokes aside, I do like them because it gives way to like a lot of interesting discussion. And I think one of the best things about it as well is it's interesting to see what other people think of it,
Yeah.
It's like something that people who are either listening to this live or, listening to it in the future, they can kind of sit there and think about it and kind of like, not ponder, but what's the right word?
Ruminate.
I was actually going to say ruminate. I was thinking about
minds. Yeah. That's it. That's what you need.
I was like, exactly. I was kind of like, is that the right word? I'm like, no, can't be. But
it's a bag of flavour. You sit in it and you absorb the flavour.
What are you saying? It's like those crisps you used to get where you got your own bag of salt that you had to put in?
No, I'm saying one of those boil in a bag chickens or turkeys.
Oh, succulent indeed.
Succulent indeed.
Yes, we are.
That's how I describe the podcast. Succulent.
Succulent and affordable.
A little bit pink.
And a little bit pink. Well. yeah, I'm not going to get into that. The topics allow people to, like ponder over them, and it's great to see what people have to say after it and kind of discuss and think, are there any similarities? Are there going to be any differences? And if there's any differences, like, that's all fine and good. I mean, there have been times where I've been on Chatsunami with people and I've like said an opinion or brought up a topic and they'll say, oh, I love topic A, and I'm like looking at my notes thinking I have nothing but rantings and ravings about this topic. No. It's like, oh no, what if they say? What would you say, out of curiosity, what would you say is like the most important part of like Chatsunami as a whole? Or just like in part of like the podcasting process, like what would you say is the most important part of it?
I think it's all important.
Oh yeah,
in its own way. I think maybe like getting a structure down.
Yeah,
I think once you, and in fairness, you don't need to have this for every episode. We've done some on films, and we're like fairly kind of know what we want to go through, like with a film, like when we started doing kind of films, we used to like kind of go through it, like following the plot and stuff, and then we've kind of transitioned into talking about like good points, bad points. Especially when we started doing the video game films, we started with good bad points. How does it work in adaptation and things, But I think for a lot of episodes, once you've got a structure down, I think everything else kind of like flows from it. Yeah. So like just to use an example, so looking back at that episode, we talked about hype in video games.
Yeah,
as you said, like you came up with this like broad topic, but you kind of came up with let's talk about this topic, and so then it was up. Then we had to like kind of work out like how do we want to approach this, how do we want to divide it up, and then so you came up with the idea of kind of splitting it into those three categories. Of part one was a game that lived up to its hype. Part two was a game that like didn't live up to its hype but has managed to like revive itself, and then part three was a game that just completely failed to live up to the hype and had just died a death. And so that gave us like a firm structure, and then from there we could be like, all right, okay, now what games fit into those three structures, and like what points we want to bring up. So I think once you've got that, once you have a structure for an episode, it's so much easier to like, just to flow from there and to like put your notes together and know what you want to talk about. And and then even then, like, as the conversation goes, the other person will probably bring things up and then you can like lead off from there and everything. So I think without coming up with a really firm structure, I think you're probably making it more difficult for yourself. I'd say some episodes need more of a structure than others, and that's fine. But I think if you work out a structure like quite early on for an episode, then you're pretty much good.
Because I definitely think if we went into... I mean, our episodes have gotten better, I would definitely say. But it's like, if we went into, like, say, hype, or... We did one in narrative.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, nostalgia.
Well, narrative.
Narrative versus gameplay, I do think those are our best episodes, or not our best, but, like, they kind of generate the most discussion. I do love it, like, because it is almost just like coffee talk, isn't it? Just like...
Yeah.
You might as well have the cafe sounds in the background being like, so what do you think of this narrative? Oh yes, I think it's great, Oh god, yeah. Chatsunami coffee time will resume shortly. No, I'm joking. But there's like a lot to talk about, but at the same time, if it's like a broad topic like that, then it's something you have to kind of like narrow in on. And I do agree with what you're saying, like some episodes might require more of a structure to hone in those points rather than just us like chatting rubbish for like 3 hours, which I'm not suggesting you chat rubbish, you don't, but
I would beg to disagree, but anyway.
No, I disagree heavily. If anybody's going to talk rubbish on this podcast, it's going to be me, okay? There's only room in here for one rambler, you got it? But yeah, jokes aside, it has been a blast though, and I do think the more we've got into it, the more natural it feels.
Oh, definitely. Like, it's that I've always looked forward to like every episode from like the first one I was on to this one. But definitely, like, I remember being quite like nervous, but for the first couple, just because it's a bit of a nerve-wracking thing to like, as much as we're not talking. Well, I mean, we're a live audience to an extent, but it's not like I'm a lecture and you can see them all.
Yeah,
I am sitting right now. I'm sitting just right now in my study, in a comfy chair, just in my loungewear. So there's a behind the scenes for you. there's a behind the scenes exclusive what I'm wearing right now. But yeah, like I think as well, what I really like about like mixed episodes as well is I think we have an episode to suit whatever mood you have.
Yeah,
because as said, like, we have these deep dives, and if you're feeling in like a more kind of like, I don't know, philosophical or a more sort of, like, I was going to say academic's not the right word, but that kind of frame of mind where you're like, you kind of want to learn some stuff, maybe do like a bit theoretical and stuff. We have those kind of deep dives into like narrative versus gameplay, for instance. At the same time as well, if you're just looking for something like more sort of easygoing and fun, we've done our slate of bad film review, kind of just like laugh along and listen to one or both of us like lose our minds at particular things. And as well, like, I feel like we have those ones as well that, like, if you're looking for something a bit more sappy, if you're looking for something to like kind of hit you in your nostalgia, in your nostalgia glands. And we've talked about games, that like are meaningful to us, and we've obviously talked about films, that mean a lot to us and everything at particular times and everything. And even perhaps if those films or games aren't like your favorite, perhaps aren't the ones you're nostalgic about, I think they can, like, just hearing somebody else like really talk about something they love kind of inspire that in you, and you kind of like, oh, I remember, that makes me think of that game, film, book, whatever, that I like, gives me those feelings. So I really feel like we cater to a smorgasbord of mental states here.
And there it is.
You knew I was going to get it in.
Yep.
I promise I'll try and make that the only use of that word in this episode. But I feel like we cater to a wide variety of how you're feeling. So I believe that however you're feeling, we've got an episode for you.
No, I totally agree with that. I do think that we have definitely something for everyone. I mean, as you said, we've got the deep dives, we've got the kind of sillier episodes. Like, if you want a silly episode that's long, go for our Silent Night, Deadly Night and Bone Alone review. Like, I think that's the peak of just kind of us just chatting very casually, talking about two bad films, ranting about the obvious plot holes and things like that. And like, maybe we shouldn't have gone in too seriously, but at the same time, It's good content. So
I think what makes that so fun is that we did like take this so seriously. We're like, right, we're gonna go through plot point by plot point here. Damn it, we're gonna interrogate this film and see if it stands up to question.
And I mean, we've also got like films like Birdemic that we went through, the Super Mario Brothers film, Alone in the Dark. We've got those comedic ones, but as you said, at the same time, we've got the nostalgia ones, that'll hit you right in the nostalgia bone. I don't know where the nostalgia bone is. I'm not a doctor. This is illegal. This is a legal statement of the night. Satsunami and Adam, both not doctors yet. So once they start accepting pandas into medical school, then maybe, just maybe. But anyway, that aside, panda and sandwich prejudice aside.
We'll be the first of our kind to achieve doctorhood.
I mean, it'll go horribly wrong, but
we'll be trailblazers though. That's all that matters.
Crumbs found an operating room. Man woke up with a slice of bologna in his stomach. Anyway, that aside, malpractice aside, yeah, but we've got other ones that like are a lot more nostalgic. We had the Pokemania one, we've got the games of 2007. We've just got so many. Like, we've got the Deadly Premonition. The Deadly Premonition, I have to admit, is one of my favourites because it's a series that I'm passionate about and you're passionate about, and I think, and this is where it gets sappy. So apologies, but I think this is definitely a series that brought us closer together as friends.
Oh, definitely. Like I often say, it's like it's the final. There's three pillars to the friendship between myself and Satsunami, and Deadly Premonition is the third, and you might argue the most important.
Oh yes. Because initially it was just you had invited me and someone else like to your flat at the time, and you were like, oh, let's play this, this game that's said to be really silly and everything, and it was a bad game, and then eventually we separated the wheat from the chaff, as it were. And it was just you and I left playing this game. And initially we kept playing this game, and it was like a car crash. You couldn't look away. You were like, what is this game? And there was crazy stuff and just, well, not bugs, but just like really weird gameplay choices and everything. I thought, what is going on with this game? You're like, I don't get this game. I don't get why people, love it, or why, it's such like a cult classic. But then we got to the end of the game, and it was just like, oh my god, this game is, I mean, it's still bad, but it's like you and I, we're like very fond of series like Twin Peaks and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of no surprise that this game gelled with us, and we were like, yeah, this is the game for us, I think. This is definitely a good game for us to play, but it was fantastic though, and yeah, it kind of solidified that. That, and I don't know, he probably didn't listen to it, but I remember putting out a tweet saying that we were doing an episode on it, and the creator, Swery65, actually liked the tweet at the time, I'm sure,
God.
and I just thought that was great. Like,
that was amazing.
Whether or not he he probably just saw someone mention Deadly Premonition and went, but you know what? Don't care.
I like to think he listened to the episode.
Yeah, I listened to the whole thing, and he was like, you're not bad, guys. You're not bad.
And if my memory serves right, that was an episode that we didn't actually structure. I think went into it and just said, let's just talk about this game that we both love. Mm-hmm. And then, we just did. We did for 2 hours. Yeah. And we probably could have gone longer, to be honest.
We really could have, if not for my editing hands, just like shaking, going, please, no more than 2 hours, please. But I mean, that's the thing though. It's those kind of topics that you and I kind of come up with, and like some of them are planned, others were kind of like quite situational, like the Xbox 20th anniversary episode.
Yeah.
I mean, what other episodes? Those kind of ones, like, again, Pokemon.
Well, the Christmas ones, I suppose.
Oh, the Christmas ones, yeah, that's true.
Taking advantage, of the time of year and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Of that festive cheer, which we're going to need to top it this year, because there's a lot of Christmas to think about.
My God.
I'm wondering what what day Christmas is on, like day as in the day, not the 25th. I know it's on the 25th.
Oh my God.
Before anyone puts it on their paper. Satsunami doesn't know when Christmas is. It's like, yes, I am a filthy heretic.
Oh, it's a Saturday. We can't give you a Chatsunami Christmas present to open.
Oh, well, you never know.
Well, who knows? True.
We could drop a special episode in your stocking.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a tease for you all.
Yeah, like a 5-minute rant about Bone Alone. And another thing. That's when you'll announce your solo project of, and another thing.
I'm taking down Satsunami.
Yeah.
That's a new solo project.
It's like, you're not wrong. You are not wrong indeed. It honestly has been a blast, and the journey itself is... I mean, it has been great. So kind of looping back to when I was saying to you, you know, oh, do you want to do this podcast? And then you jumped and said, yeah, sure. What was your experience with podcasts before?
So I had done another one previously, but I did a couple episodes before, but like I'm trying to think, like, I'd never really listened to podcasts for a long time. Mm-hmm. It's only something I've kind of recently got into now, but like, so I did that one briefly for a bit. And then, like, I think I started listening to some different ones. Like, I started off listening to kind of wrestling. Mm-hmm. And I'm a fair weather pro wrestling fan. I go through kind of peaks and troughs of interest in it, but like I was a point where I was very interested, so I started listening to that, and I kind of broadened out from there, and I realized how great podcasts are. But I never really did like starting my own or going on to another one until you started just streaming, and then that kind of led into you wanting to start podcasting. And initially, like when you said that, I was just looking forward to hearing what you had to say and everything. And then when you asked me to come on, and like I just kind of presumed it would be like a sort of like a guest slot thing, like I would come on for this. I'd come on for the Halo one, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll come back, like some other episodes down the line on some related whatever it would be, some kind of related topic. But then, yeah, you just for some mad reason you kept asking me back, and I was like, then now just to mess this up.
It's like, I have sat down on the chair, I refuse to move. I am not going. See, this is the thing I was kind of worried about, because when I started the podcast, as you said, it kind of stemmed from when I started streaming in 2020. And initially, as I said, the first episode was with Craig. Once again, I'm plugging his podcast, the Beer and Chill podcast. Great podcast, go listen to it.
Indeed.
And then the second episode, as I said, you and I both love the Halo series. We've kind of grown up with it. I think you more than me, mind you. But if you want to hear the full story, go listen to the podcast episode.
There you go. There you go. I will not reveal the secrets here.
Yes. And, like, it was a series that we were both passionate about. And we were like, yeah, let's, talk about this. And we did. We spoke about it for a fair amount of time. Absolutely loved it. And then, yeah, I basically said to you, we were talking after it, and I think you had said, can't remember, did we agree on the topic for the next week? Or was it just kind of like a gradual thing?
Did. I can't even remember. I think maybe I don't think we agreed on the topic. I think I might have said something like, oh, but if you ever want me to do another one, like, just while you were starting out, I kind of thought I would be like a stopgap, thing until you found like a far more competent, professional co-host to help you out. So I just said, if you ever want to do anything else, just let me know. I can help out. And then, yeah, I don't know how we got. I mean, it must have been like not long after Halloween.
Yeah, it must have been, because
you've been playing some. I think you've been streaming some as well, hadn't you?
Yeah, because I think we had started... I think technically Chatsunami did start earlier than the 30th of November, because the 30th of November was when the first episode was released on Anchor, because I initially started, streaming these episodes on Twitch, and like I wasn't really sure where it was going to go, because I thought initially that might be the case. It might just be like a rolling, host. It might be like, first Craig, then you, then maybe Green Shield, maybe S-Back, because I wasn't sure how it was going to go. And then as soon as you said like you were really enjoying it, you wanted to do it, I was like, oh my god, yes, never leave me, please. Because you have, like, again, sappy mode, click, activated, but you have been a great host in Chatsunami. So yeah, no, thank you so much for sticking with it.
Maybe try here. Well, thank you for sticking with me, to be honest. Thank you for putting up with me 30 episodes of me interrupting you in the middle of your sentences, which I'm like, every time I do it, I'm like, oh my god, get it off. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, just to quickly explain, we do these over Discord, so in case anyone's wondering, like, why, why there's, like, audio cutouts or, there's things like that, yeah, we don't do it in person. Because initially, it was because of the lockdown. It's not always, not feasible. What's the word I'm looking for? Reasonable, feasible.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's not always.
Like we live a little way away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the easiest thing just to pop over,
Yeah.
So it's just convenient, to be honest.
Pretty much, yeah. It really is. But it is good in a way, because it keeps that kind of rustic Chatsunami aesthetic, you know. Just like Mama used to make them, you know. Chatsunami is now in a bottle. I don't know how that works, but you know, if you hear like Scottish screaming sounds coming out your Coke can, I apologise. That was not me.
Well, even were those originals of podcasts now? Or is it that one of the Pepperidge Farms, is it? Remember? Yeah. Oh, Chatsunami remembers.
Well, you're not wrong. Because we do always bring stuff up like that, but like, and another thing about Halo, or, you know, the series we're passionate about, like Bioshock Infinite we've done, the Call of Duty series, because we've only done, I think, the Black Ops and Modern Warfare series. I think we've only done those. You know, we deep dive into like quite a lot of like old games, new games, Deadly Premonition, as we said. I'm just having a quick look at the other ones, because there's honestly been it's been 50. I was going to say
Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain as well. That was a great episode. That's one that's that's one that's come out recently, so I would recommend if anyone wants to check that out. I mean, we looked at Star Wars games, which of course is like a staple of both our childhoods. Top video game levels, I remember that one. That was another nostalgic one.
We talked about sequels we wanted to see for video games, and like ones that we didn't like.
Oh god, I got to the Silent Night, Deadly Night. We've talked too much about that. I mean, one of my favourite episodes, I have to say, was the Timothy Dalton one we did for his films.
Oh, that was so good.
Oh, it was. Like, just to quickly explain, we did an episode where we talked about the Timothy Dalton James Bond film. So we talked about License to Kill and Living Daylights. Both brilliant films, you know, and kind of going through them step by step and kind of chatting about them. And it was great just rewatching. I think that's part of the fun, to be honest. See, when we go away and we research these topics, you know, I think that's part of the fun. It is really just such a laugh going away, rewatching these films for the podcast, messaging one another, you know, like school kids saying, why is he like this? Why is he like that? But
watching The Alone in the Dark was a blast. We did that. We were like messaging each other and we both watched it at the same time.
That was amazing. That was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed like rewatching, or not rewatching, but watching that film, because I feel as if that's part of the fun. Because I feel as if you go away and watch it yourself, you don't really get the impact of it. Like, as I said in the last episode where we talked about Starship Troopers, like I went over to visit you on the rare occasion, and we ended up binge watching all of the Starship Troopers films, at least 4 of them, 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
And I mean, we were kind of jet lagged by the end of it, if that's the correct term. I mean, Starship Trooper lagged, as I said before, but it was a blast doing them, though.
It got to the point, it was so bad that we became so disorientated watching Starship Troopers that we ordered pizza, and it took until about us eating half of our pizzas to realize we picked up the wrong ones. Like, I was eating Satsunami's pizza, and he was eating mine.
That was amazing.
Like, out of it we were.
No, I'll tell you how bad it is. Like, you ordered, was it a vegetable one or something?
Yeah, I got a vegetable.
Yeah, I don't got a vegetable one. I got a barbecue chicken one. And I'm eating this pizza, and I'm going, this is weird, there's no chicken on here. It doesn't taste like barbecue. And I was kind of like, that's it. I mean, it's a nice pizza, but it's just very weird. And I had 3 slices left, and I looked over, and there was like this suspicious like spread of barbecue sauce over your pizza. And I was like, Adam, do we have the right pizzas? And I remember you holding the slice, and just so dejectedly, you dropped the slice.
I couldn't believe it. How I ordered a vegetable pizza and then proceeded to eat one with chicken and barbecue on it. And I didn't know. Generally, I remember opening it and I saw peppers. On it, and I was like, oh, that's clearly mine. It has vegetables on it. I didn't bother to like look any closer at any of the other details. Oh my god. I blame Starship Troopers for that.
Oh, yeah. When did we get that? Was that like the second film or the third film?
It might have been the third film.
I think it must have been, yeah. It was definitely one of the sequels, because we watched the first film, and it was great, you know, like fantastic. If you want to hear our opinions, like look up the last episode from this. Yeah, then when we got to like 2 and 3, we were just like, what is this film? Why is this film? How is this film? What's the purpose? Why are we here? Just to suffer JPEG? The great pizza mix-up, which I think we didn't actually admit in the last episode, but we now. This is like a Chatsunami exclusive.
There you go. For the 50th, we'll reveal all the mishaps and the goofs.
Yeah. But I mean, even with the goofs, because as I've said before, like in the earlier episodes especially, I had like a lot of problems where I'd accidentally left like some of the, you know, the notifications on, or some of my pipes in the background would creak, or, you know, there would be something that went wrong with the stream, and I would just be like, why? And I'd be listening back to it, and there would just be like a weird noise or like a spike in the audio, and I'm like, this isn't good. But it did get better. I mean, I upgraded my mic. Like, I used to use in case, you know, anyone's interested, I used to use a Viii, I think it's called, and it's like a standard USB mic, but if you're like starting out, it was about £30 to £40. I would wholeheartedly recommend it. Can't remember the one I'm using just now. It's like a something. It's got like a really long name. Because I couldn't get an Elgato one or a, what is it, Blue Yeti mic. I couldn't be a normal. It's like, you know that meme where it's a child in the background at the back of the car screaming, and it's the mum like, why can't you be normal? And I'm like, I'm gonna get this mic, I don't care what you say. But I mean, I think the audio quality has like slightly, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not like a audio person. I'll listen to a song and say, that's got a good beat, but I won't like deep dive into it. That's why you haven't seen any like music based Chatsunamis yet. I would need to get someone who's like, you know, like, you know, if you took someone to like a whiskey distillery and you would have them saying things like, yes, it tastes very peaty, you know, a
smoky blend.
A smoky It's always a smoky blend, isn't it? Yeah. When's the Chatsunami episodes where we go live? Like distillery. I don't even drink. It's like, yes, a smoky, a very peaty, a very, you know, Highland smelling whiskey. Like, slightly off topic before we jump into the second half of this, but I remember, like, I went to a distillery tour once, and they basically turned around to me and they said, oh yes, would you like to try, you know, like, try a dram, which is just like the tiny cup of it. And I mean, I don't drink, but, you know, when in Rome, you know, why not try it? And I remember trying this one, and they said, oh, it's very peaty. And I don't know what peaty tastes like, but after tasting that, I was like, oh yeah, that's peaty. That is definitely peaty. But they were like, oh, we can't tell you where this whiskey came from. It's like some Highland distillery. And I thought, listen, even if you told me right now, even if you gave me the direct, like, location, the address, the coordinates, I would forget in 2 seconds, okay? I would not. And I apologise to, like, any whiskey fans of Chatsunami. Like, if anyone wants to recommend good whiskey, feel free. Oh, please tell me you're not a whiskey fan after all this time, Adam.
No, God, like, I am not a spirit drinker, to be honest. I was going to say, the distillery tour will go well, seeing as you don't drink and spirits make me sick, so... I see this distillery tour going very well.
I mean, I play Phasmophobia as well, so I agree. Spirits make me sick. Hey! And there's the pun for the 50th episode. Are you proud of me? I mean, nothing wrong against whiskey, to be fair. There's actually a great Scottish film called The Angel Share, all about that.
Oh, that's very good.
Like, I would recommend, if you're looking for, like, a good comedy about, like, whiskey distilleries, which is a niche subject, but trust me, it's a good film. As a kind of, you know, well, not treat after moaning about whiskey, we have actually got a couple of questions that... So basically before we came on tonight, we went out and we shook our question asking hats, and we indeed have a couple of questions from our awesome listeners at home. So should we dive into them?
Let's go for it.
So the first one is as follows. If you could revisit any of the old podcast topics, what would it be and why?
On a personal level, I would probably pick like the Halo episode, like my very first one.
Oh my god, me too.
Oh my god, so funny. Not because of like I think there's anything wrong with the episode, like per se, like It's just that like listening back to it, I find it hard to listen because that was my first episode, and I think I sound like so goddamn nervous and stuff, and just like unsure of myself. So like on a personal level, I would say that one because it'd be good to like revisit it now, where like I'm still like terrified and unsure of myself, but I don't sound as much like that now. So I've got better at hiding it. And just as another one, like after our narrative and gameplay discussion, which I absolutely loved that episode, but I was so annoyed with myself that I failed to bring up Tetris. Talking about gameplay, that I was like, damn it, Aaron, we gotta record the episode again so I can talk about Tetris. So they're my two answers.
Yeah, not to like bring up a kawinky dink, but I was actually going to bring up Halo as well. I have to say, no, again, like I feel as if the points we made were, fantastic, and it was a great discussion and everything. But when I'm like editing, these are things that you will probably never hear when you're listening back to like the finished product of this, either on Spotify, Anchor, wherever you listen to this. You'll never hear like the kind of blemishes and the ums and ums, and these are things that I usually take out of the podcast.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like small bits which I think somebody listening to it would probably think, oh, it doesn't, I don't care, as long as I'm not like heavily breathing down the microphone like, tell me your favorite Halo game. Like I don't think people would really buy into that. But yeah, like it is definitely one I would love to revisit. I do think that, and again, it's not for you. I thought you sounded fine, but when I was listening back to myself, I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, really?
I'm the complete opposite. I thought you sounded fine as me. I'm like, oh. God. Pull it together, man.
I mean, either between that or the Dungeons and Dragons episodes, because I feel as if it was a good episode again, but because it was the first episode, and I totally see where you're coming from with like being nervous, because I too was like terrified. I was more like, hello and welcome to the chat. Like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Zoinks! We're gonna do a podcast!
You came across really well and like you've come across well in every episode, I think. So to me, again, I think it's that thing though, isn't it? Like you're your own harshest critic, like because as well you know how you were feeling at the time. But like to me, like I've never noticed you sounding nervous or anything at all. So
it is like you're completely right, because it is one of those like behind the curtain things where you could be like shaking and nervous, and I think I'm a bit better with it now. And I mean, would you agree for your side that you're like a lot better now going live compared to when we started out?
Oh yeah, I feel much more comfortable now, like now doing it.
So the next question is, what has been your favourite episode so far? And why? Ooh, that's a good one.
Correct answer, all of them. I really enjoyed the Super Mario Bros. Film one. Just because me and you had... I enjoyed the episode, but I also enjoyed the lead up to the episode because me and you had such varied reactions to that film, in that I had an absolute blast watching it and absolutely loved it, and I still think it's a good film.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing the messages from you being like, like, F this film, and what the hell? Why is there so much plumbing? The Scapelli brothers too? And then just as the one point where like listening back to the one point where you're like you're trying to explain like King Koopa's like dislike of plumbers, and you just like you can just hear you just give up. You're just like your soul just like crushed having to explain this. That was a favorite. Though I think like my real favorite is probably the episode we did on nostalgia and video games, just because it surprised me how much I enjoyed like looking up that topic and like talking about it. And again, that was one that Satsunami put forward. See, Satsunami always puts forward the best ideas. There you go.
No, so you do as well.
It's probably his idea. That one just surprised me because it wasn't a topic I ever thought about covering, and then I was intrigued. But then the more I looked into it, I was like, "Oh, there's so much cool stuff to say." And then just saying it, just made me feel warm and fuzzy. I thought back to all these great games that I've loved over the years.
And I mean, it was like the 2007 one as well, wasn't it? Where it was like you were putting a blanket over yourself and being like,
"No, I was."
Remember Halo 3? I remember. Remember Battle. Oh no, Battlefront was 2005, but Battlefront 2. But yeah, you know what I mean, like all those games that kind of came together in 2007, and that was one of yours actually, which was that was a fantastic episode as well. I think for me though, I would definitely say in terms of comedy, again, the right answer's all of them. How dare you make us choose? The correct answer, the answer I would give probably would be in terms of comedy, the Silent Night, Deadly Night one and Bone Alone, because because it was such a joy. I was actually re-listening to that the other night, and it was just you descending into madness. Just like, why is... It's like, why is that this kid's got a phone? Why is he called AAA? Yeah. Why are the robbers so just stupid? It was fantastic. It was just such a laugh, and like I think that was the first time on Chatsunami where I just lost it, because I think before I tried to remain quite composed and like that kind of professional host of yes, ha ha ha, I see, yes. But for that, I just lost it. I just I was like, forgive me, forgive me, Sensei, I must go all out. And I just started, yeah. But when you started describing, so there's a quick aside, but there's a scene in the film where the dog puts like this huge thing of raw steak into like this robber's underwear when he's not paying attention, and it's attached to like a fishing hook that then like pulls him across the room. The way you described that, you described it as the dog putting a huge hunk of meat inside of his trousers, and I did not expect that whatsoever. I lost it. I couldn't stop laughing. I had tears in my eyes. I was just like, yeah, I need a minute, guys. I just need a minute. There's no way I can keep going with this. And you were just like, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, just keep going. I need a minute. I just need a minute. It was so funny. In terms of serious ones, I would say the Deadly Premonition one. Because again, maybe it's just because I have a very soft spot for Deadly Premonition, because as you said earlier, it's the third pillar of our friendship. And being able to express that love of the series, especially with someone who also appreciates it. Because it's all fun and games, if I got someone else on and I was like, oh, Deadly Premonition's a great game, and they were like, oh, I've never played it. And then it's like an hour of me explaining why it's so good. But because we've gone through this experience together...
Yeah.
What's the film? I Know What You Did Last Summer, only I know you played Deadly Premonition. It's like, no, nobody must know. And speaking of which, so next question. Have you discovered anything surprising or unexpected about making podcasts that you hadn't anticipated when you first embarked on your Chatsunami journey?
That's a good one. I mean, I feel you're more qualified to answer this one than I am. So I'll just briefly say I didn't realise how inarticulate I can be, especially how much I used to use the word like. That was something that I noticed very strongly in the first episodes. And I've made a real effort to try and cut that down in subsequent ones. And also, as well, one of my favourite gaff, the one that makes me cringe the most, is during the episode where we talked about our favourite levels in video games. I was talking about my favourite level from the original BioShock, which takes place in an area that used to be a kind of shopping mall, entertainment district. And I described it as being full of shopping shops, one that makes me cringe more than anything. I uttered that word, and it's preserved for all posterity. So, there you go. That's what I learned about myself.
Oh no, I've done that before. I can't remember what it was I said in the Starship Troopers one, but I made a very similar mistake, and I was listening to it thinking, I should really cut this. And I'm like, if I cut that, everything I've said before will make no sense. And it was just the choice of, what do? Do I make myself sound reputable, or do I make myself sound bad? And it makes sense. Oh, it was, but on that point, I feel as if the editing definitely caught me off guard, because I was not expecting the amount of edit. As I said before, I've been streaming since March of 2020, so I've done a lot of compilation videos, things that, when you're chopping up a very long stream into a condensed 10 to 20 minute video, it's a lot of fun, because you're seeing a lot of visual things on the screen. You're seeing a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but a lot of game scenes that you can add memes and jokes to. With the podcast editing, it's a bit duller. I do going back and listening to what we say and re-listening to some jokes and thinking, I actually forgot we said that, and kind of laughing about it, but it's a lot more dry to edit. You have to go through it piece by piece, and again, it's worth it for the finished product, but it's kind of weird, because you go, I go through, not painstaking, but I go through the bit by bit to make sure it's perfect. And that's like a detriment to me, I think. Like, I go through it to make sure it's perfect, but I don't think like a lot of people would really notice if I left certain like and hymns and, you know, things like that. And another thing, just something I think you touched on, definitely speech patterns. I did not realise I did the same thing. I use words like, you know, do you think, you know, things like that, as I just said there. Stuff you don't realise, and I kind of try to edit them out and cut them down a bit, but when you're kind of talking with a friend, you know, you use these words over and over again and you don't think much about them. You just kind of speak and that's it, they come out and you're like, So it's interesting to see your speech patterns. So yeah, I feel as if that's unexpected, but something as well, and a bit of a personal point, is definitely getting used to my own voice, because when I started, I hated listening to my own voice. I would do like a lot of compilation videos where I was in a group, and that kind of made it more palatable. So when I had to do like a whole podcast where it was just me talking, because I used to hate my voice, I used to think, who wants to listen to this voice? And, you know, insert disgusted noise here. At the same time, like, the more and more I've done this 50 episodes later, the more I've just kind of thought, okay, this is what I've said here, this is what I've said. You know, it doesn't faze me anymore. Like, I think
it's worth... Oh, sorry.
Go on, sorry.
I think it's worth repeating, and probably people listening probably either know this or can guess this, but... Like, you know, Satsunami is the one who does everything basically for, like, you know, getting these episodes together and getting them recorded and editing them. Like, it's all through, like, his like, tireless hard work that, like, these, you know, they all come out and they upload and everything. So the amount of work he put into them, like, and like, I know to an extent, like, the amount of work he put in and everything. And so, yeah, I doff my cap to you, because you do so much to get it going, and you're the engine that keeps us running, and the body of the car as well, to be honest, and the wheels and everything else.
So what you're saying is I'm the Steve McQueen of this.
Yes, exactly. You're the Steve McQueen.
In case anyone's wondering why I said Steve McQueen and not Lightning McQueen, feel free to check out our Let's Play of Heavy Rain. Trust me, when you get to the episode, you will know. At Satsunami42. Yes. Anyway, moving on. So, next question. Describe your process for prepping an episode from start to finish. Ooh. For the most part, some of them are quite situational topics. You know, like if it's coming up to Halloween, obviously we did one in horror games. If it's coming up to Christmas, we did one in, you know, Christmas films and things. Like, there's a lot of them. Like, in terms of, like, coming up with the topics, usually we do that, or, you know, like the Xbox 20th anniversary, things like that. But usually it's just topics that we are personally interested in, and we do try to, like, follow a structure. Every week we'll try and change it up, so, like, one week it might be a game, one week it might be a video essay, you know, like about hype, or narrative versus gameplay, films, anime, and once we do that, we kind of, like, come up with depending on the episode. Like, if it's a light-hearted one, usually we have, like, a bare bones outline to say, we're going to touch on this point, and that point. But if it's more in-depth, we have, like, a more rigid structure. So, like, we'll have the introduction, you know, what we're going to be discussing, how we're going to discuss it. For the hype episode, as you said, we structured it as talking about a game that lived up to the hype, a game that didn't live up to the hype initially, but then it kind of rose up and ended up achieving that hype, and one that just completely failed. And we kind of did that, like, from start to finish, talking and touching on these points. And it's quite similar as well for the streamer spotlight episodes. So, like, the ones that we were talking about earlier there, where I've, like, met, like, a lot of, you know, other streamers on the platform, and I interview them. I talk about just basically what their experiences on Twitch are, what they feel as if is good with the platform, how they've gone through it and things. And I feel as if they're a little bit more structured. But something funny I have noticed in them, and I don't know if you've noticed this as well, listening to them, Adam, but I do have, like, a bare bones structure of talking about, like, their experiences and things like that, what kind of other projects they're into. But remember, I was interviewing another streamer called Super Shadow 271, big shout out there, and I'm not going to lie, initially initially it began talking about Twitch, and then the majority of the rest of it ended up descending into Sonic talk. And then we tried like bringing it back to Twitch, and then it just went back into Sonic. And don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying that's bad at all. It's fantastic because it just shows like the flow, you know, of the discussion, where we could just be like, you know, let's talk about this topic, that topic, see where it goes. And I have noticed that it begins with like and I mean, it's the same with ours. Would you agree with that? That it begins with like a kind of bare bones plan, and then, or not bare bones, but it begins with like a kind of plan of what we're going to talk about, and then it just kind of flows from there.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And that, you know, we make a structure for these episodes, but like it doesn't mean that we have to bridge. Like we kind of come up with like the kind of, as you said, the chief points, and then, you know, maybe a few kind of bullet points underneath about some like headings and stuff we want to talk about. But then, you know, that's just to kind of jump the conversation off, you know, have a starting point. And, you know, as you say, we can kind of go with the flow there as well. We have right a bit. We have a quite a big Google Doc with a lot of potential ideas, and also like lists of episodes that we've done already to keep track and stuff. So that's something as well that both of us add to, you know, every now and then. If anything comes into our minds about things we want to talk about, we put it under a list there. So that's our maybe our holy grail of potential content and future content and everything. So, but yeah. As you said, everything else in the process is as you described.
And then, like, once we record it, though, then it goes into the editing phase, which, as I said, is terrible. Well, it's not terrible. It's like a lot to, like, go through it, take out the kind of repetition and things like that, and make sure it, like, flows and things. I'm not saying I'm, like, pro, like, editor, but, I mean, I try my best, damn it. It's like,
you do really well.
Oh,
you try and succeed.
It's like, yeah, okay, I'll transfer that money to you after the stream, okay?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we are muted, aren't we? Yeah,
oh, shit.
No. But yeah, like for anyone curious, like initially I was using a video editing software called Shortcut to edit the podcast. The only reason being that once I like cut up the episodes, then I could like export it as an MP4 and 3. But yeah, fun fact, turns out my computer no longer likes Shortcut. So instead what I've been using is Audacity, which I'm getting used to now, and I feel as if it's like a lot better. But yeah, in case anybody wonders like what the change is, yeah, it's Audacity. Great program, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. But just in case anyone wonders. And yeah, once that's done, it gets exported into YouTube, Anchor, and Anchor as well. And once it's uploaded to Anchor, that goes to like iTunes, Spotify, Castbox. It's amazing. I love Anchor. Not sponsored by them, but that's where we host the podcast. And yeah, it's an amazing tool. I would wholeheartedly recommend. If anybody is like thinking about starting a podcast, I would recommend Anchor. I think it's very easy to use. You can edit, or not edit, but you can like choose what like audio snippets you want in, you know, like swap them about. It's great. It's 100%. It's awesome. So yeah, that's my plug for the day. Sponsored by Anchor Shadow Legends. But no, that is great. Next question. Oh, I'm going to throw this one to you. Which Chatsu do you feel is underappreciated?
Oh, I don't feel I'm qualified to speak about this one because you'll not obviously know the downloads and everything and the viewing, listening activity on them. I mean, the one I'm going to pick here is I think that your second episode with Super Shadow, where you both talked about Sonic 06, is underappreciated. Purely because I'm going to presume Sega haven't listened to it yet, because if they did listen to it, then both of you would be hired by now to Sonic Team, and Sonic would be in a lot more capable hands. As you both like expertly broke down like, you know, what's gone wrong and like why Sega's like the missteps Sega has made with Sonic over the years. So I'm going to take that one as the underappreciated one.
It's like, what's wrong with it? Everything. Everything's wrong with it. I'm actually trying to think of, like, ones that we've done. You know, like, there are a couple of them where, like, I've looked at the numbers, and again, like, the numbers aren't everything in the podcast. I mean,
that's true.
Like, I love doing them. I'm assuming you love them as well.
Oh, I do.
I'm taking a huge like leap of faith here. Like, please tell me you do it. Like a Assassin's Creed leap of faith here. It's like, please.
Since it's the 50th episode, I better be honest.
Oh, please.
I love them.
I think the Heavy Rain one, although it's early days, I feel as if that's kind of underappreciated, judging by like how many people have listened to it so far. And I feel as if it will like grow as soon as people start listening to it. I thought the indie games, I think that was one I did with Craig. That one,
that Craig, yeah.
Yeah, that one was a bit like I love doing doing that because we actually deep dived into the world of indie games against like AAA titles and things. It was a really interesting topic, and I feel as if, although it did get good numbers, I feel as if that could have had maybe a bit of a boost. I was going to say our Deadly Premonition one, but yeah, that's got like some of the top views or listen traffic. So I'm like, yeah, probably not. And our Silent Night Deadly Night is probably our best episode. Oh no, sorry, it's our second best episode, because our best episode is our Halo retrospective. So there you go. But it's not far off, I have to say.
That's a shame the indie games one isn't, because that was a really good discussion you had.
I mean, I suppose the other one is like just the streamer spotlight episodes, I would say. It is weird because although they're underappreciated on Anchor, so I'm assuming that not many people listen to it in like Anchor, Spotify and such, but they'll listen to it on YouTube, which I thought was quite interesting. So like, to give kind of context, like we also upload these to YouTube because like the thinking is if anybody's not got access to Anchor or any of these podcast even apps, then at least, you know, they can listen to it over on YouTube. You know, have it on in the background while they're doing the dishes. Shout out to all our dishwasher fans out there, which is everybody, probably, I would hope. Wash your dishes, guys. It's 2021. And yeah, sometimes like the views for that are fantastic, and then I'll look at it in comparison to Anchor and it's not as great. So it's like I feel as if it's like it's just time that the podcast episodes need.
Yeah,
like it's just waiting for people to kind of listen, discover, and as I said, find your nearest granny or grandpa. I don't care if they're yours or not. just put Chatsunami in front of them, get those numbers up. But yeah, jokes aside, yeah, I do think, you know, like if I was being sly, I would be like, I feel as if they're all underappreciated.
The correct answer.
Yeah, the correct answer, all of them. Oh god. It's like, you know, when you look at the back of a textbook and you get like the wrong answer. It's like, wait a minute, how is it 33? And it's like, huh, okay. How many Chatsunami episodes have there been? It's like, huh, okay. Wrong answer. And the final question, what are your inspirations for podcasts / your style of podcasting?
Good question. Another good question. I kind of said, like, our inspiration for the episodes is a lot of, like, what we really like or what kind of interests us. And there's, like, you know, or, like, trying to tie it into things. I mean, I feel like I'm very bad for being like, oh, Satsu, look at these anniversaries coming up. You're probably, like, absolutely sick of me, like, being, telling you all the anniversaries of games and films that are coming up.
Trust me, I appreciate it. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even know.
I'm on anniversary watch.
It's like, you know, you get those awkward films where it's like the couple and one of them's like really angry and the other person doesn't know what it is, like what day it is, and you're just like, do you know what day it is, Satsu? It's like, no, I don't. It's the 20th anniversary of Xbox. I thought you would remember. It's like, I'm so sorry. We have a whole episode on it. It's like, well, it's not enough. Let's do another one. Or the N64 one. Was it the N64 anniversary?
That's got an anniversary this year, yeah. 35? No, 25, sorry.
25, yeah. We'll need to do one on that, because you did mention that a while ago. And we have it on the list.
Indeed, yeah.
For all those, like...
On the list, we've got a list of anniversaries on the document as well, with things this year.
Yes. Yeah, people will be looking at it like, why are they so obsessed with anniversaries? And it's like, trust me, the content, we need the content. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we always do, you know, we do podcast episodes on topics that we are interested in. This is something I've learned with streaming as well, and I don't know if you feel the same, but it's like, it is one thing if we just followed the trends, which, don't get me wrong, we just said, oh yeah, anniversaries, you know, which we sometimes do. But then we go into games like Heavy Rain, which, let's face it, Heavy Rain, like, has a cult following at best nowadays. I don't see anybody in mainstream spheres like saying Heavy Rain is great, you know, in 2021.
Yeah.
Same with Deadly Premonition, I'm just trying to think of like what other ones that we've done. Let me actually have a look. You know, like Starship Troopers.
Bioshock Infinite, maybe?
Bioshock Infinite even, although that's fantastic. Like, you don't hear as many. Like, that's probably more popular than Deadly Premonition.
That probably is.
Heavy Rain. You've got Dread, which... Again, great film, but
yeah,
kind of on the thing. Well, the Raid, okay, maybe.
Super Mario Bros.
Yeah,
underappreciated.
That's true. The Timothy Dalton films as well.
Very true.
You know, because that's the thing, we could have done a general James Bond, you know, like top 10 lists or something like that on the run up to the film that still isn't out yet. But it is coming, apparently. Apparently it is meant to be coming out this year. So they keep saying.
Final trailer dropped, so.
Yeah, the final trailer after 2 years of advertising. Supposedly it's meant to be coming out, so maybe we'll do an episode on it if we ever get the chance to see it. I don't know. Yeah, we basically just do topics that we find interesting, really.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if we didn't find them interesting or find anything interesting to talk about them, you know, it wouldn't make good content. We would just be kind of sitting here saying, let's say, for example, Super Mario. It's like, Super Mario is a franchise from, you know, when you're typing Wikipedia on your computer, it is a franchise from the 1980s starring John continuing on and on, you know. The joke is getting old. It is that balance. You have to feel kind of passionate about what you're talking about. Otherwise, because do you feel as if that's the case, that if you're listening to a podcast or just in general someone talking about something they're not passionate about, do you think that kind of carries over?
I think you can definitely tell, can't you? Why would you it's hard to get enthused about something that you aren't. You don't at least have some interest in, or some kind of passion or love for. So yeah, you can definitely tell.
It's remember those old presentations you used to do in school, where you had to stand up and be like, today I am going to be talking about the railways in the UK. The locomotive, as it was known, you know, it was very stilted, you were nervous, you know. God, I'm getting flashbacks just thinking about that. As well, sorry, I'm just looking at the second part of this question where it says your style of podcasting. And I'm going to be honest, I am in the same boat as you, Adam. I really didn't, and again, same with streaming. I didn't really watch a lot of streamers before I got into streaming, and it's the same with podcasting. I didn't listen to a lot of podcasts. Not out of malice or being a contrarian to say, I refuse to listen to this podcast, but just generally, it never came up that I thought, you know, oh, I should really listen to this podcast. It was just more kind of a thoughtful, okay, I'm getting into this world. It's you know, when you start a new hobby, you try and get into the different spheres of, right, what is this about? What are other people doing and things? And I think our style, especially, is just kind of developed because you actually pointed this out. I can't remember when it was, but you were saying, I think you introduced one of the, I think was it the narrative versus gameplay episode that you introduced it?
I think I'm
trying to.
I might have. No, I think I introduced the 2007 in video games.
Oh, was it that one? Yeah. No, it's just
that one. I can't remember any others.
Yeah, it's just, the only reason I remember that is because you were saying, oh, I'm going to introduce it like your iconic, hello everyone. And which is something, although I keep doing in the episodes, is something I never really noticed, and I don't know why. Because I start every episode by saying, hello everybody, and welcome to the, you know, X episode of Chatsunami. But I never picked it up myself. And then you were just like, I'm going to do the hello there. It's
it's iconic now, it's a thing.
Yeah, we can't change it. There's going to be many changes to the channel, but you know what? That's the one thing that's not going to change, is it?
It shall stay the same.
So, I actually have a question for you. Would you be interested in doing a speed round of these questions?
Ooh, well, I feel speedrunning, despite the fact neither of us are speedrunners, I feel like speedrunning has become synonymous with Chatsunami and with your streaming, so let's do it.
I mean, you're not wrong. I was just wondering, do you want to read these ones out, or will I just fire them at you? What do you think?
I don't mind doing... Why don't you fire them at me?
Okay, so first one. What is the game of the year?
At the minute, Resident Evil Village for me.
I would agree with that because I haven't played any games from this year. I genuinely, because of streaming and things and Chatsunami, I genuinely haven't had time. So yeah, that's my answer. Resident Evil Village. Yeah, great game. The big lady, I hear she's very nice. I don't know why yet, but people keep telling me, so yeah. 10 out of 10, game of the year. IGN, phone me up, give me a job.
You heard it there. You heard it.
Okay, next question.
Will you adopt me? JK, hope you're doing good. But yeah, adopt me, please. I make great brownies.
We will contact you after the stream.
Solid yes, I love brownies.
That is true. Home baking is always welcome on Chatsunami. And by extension, see, once I get well, in fact, no. I was going to say once I get a P.O. box, but can you imagine all the mouldy cakes? Coming? Yeah, it would be...
abandon that P.O. box after a while.
Yeah, it would be more like a bioweapon box than a actual...
That'd be Resident Evil 9 to be set in your P.O. box.
Oh, Jesus, imagine. Next question. What are you scared of?
Rats.
Bees. Well, sorry, more wasps, but yeah.
But bees by extension.
I mean, yeah, like, bees I've started to kind of warm up to, but can you imagine, like, any other animal with a knife up its backside, like, running at you, going, I'm gonna stab you? Why do wasps get a free pass on that?
A fair point. Good point.
Yes.
If you could interview someone, who would it be?
I would honestly like to interview, see some of the bad films that we've done. Like, if we ever got the chance, if we got big enough to interview, like, some of the actors.
You dare say James Nguyen, by the way.
Oh, James Nguyen.
I will leave this call. I will leave this call. Say James Nguyen.
I mean, I have to admit, I think my dream one would be someone like Swery.
Oh.
I think there would be a bit of a language barrier, granted, but if that was ever possible, or anybody from, like, the Deadly Premonition team, because I know people have, like, done, like, interviews with I can't remember what, I think it's called the Greenvale podcast. When I was doing research for the Deadly Premonition episode, there was, like, a podcast I stumbled across, and, oh, it was so good. Yeah, they basically talk about Deadly Premonition, but they interviewed one of the voice actors in it. So yeah, it was awesome.
Nice.
But anyway, sorry. What about yourself?
I've been watching quite a few things on, like, the Sega and Nintendo console wars back in the 90s, and there's a man called Tom Kalinske who was, like, head of Sega America, who's kind of responsible for like boosting the popularity of Sega and making them actually a legitimate challenger to, like, Nintendo. And that's the time when, like, Sonic was created. You know, you had all those great adverts where they, like, made fun of Nintendo and they were like, Sega! All this of... So I'd love to interview him because he seems like a fascinating guy, and he's, like, I'd love to hear the stories from that time, so I'd pick him.
That'd be awesome. What historical figure would you like to have dinner with?
Henry VIII, because we'd have a sumptuous feast.
You know what? I was thinking of someone better, but you know what? Henry VIII, yeah. I mean...
We'll have a joint dinner together.
You know, yeah, fantastic logic. Next question. Yeah, let's just say Henry VIII and move on. nothing I say is going to top that. I could be like,
needs to be said.
Yeah, I could be like, oh yes, like Florence Nightingale or someone from, you know, like a really important figure. It's like, no, Henry VIII. We got to have that, like, you know, that huge, like, comical turkey you get on the wooden table.
I want the pie where all the blackbirds fly out of it and everything.
Yes, just as long as they don't.
Let's do it.
Just as long as they don't drop, like, a bullhead or something on the table.
No, fair point.
Yes, it's usually a bad sign. But anyway, sorry. Next question.
If you ruled the world, what would you do to change it?
More Chatsunami.
That is the correct answer.
Yeah, all the Chatsunami episodes. That's what my answer says for the last couple of questions. So, yeah, what would you do?
You know what? I'm also going to pick that. I was originally going to say take the cast of Love Island and fire them into the sun. Take Chatsunami mandatory.
No, make them listen to Chatsunami and then fire
while they're
them
getting fired into the sun.
Because the chances are they'll probably be confused and they'll have to listen to it again. So that means double the views for us, or double the listens for us, and then fire them. And then we can make it like a yearly, like, tribute, like the Hunger Games, the Chatsu games. Anyway, what superpowers would you have if you could choose?
I would pick teleportation.
Same.
It seems like it was handy.
Either teleportation or time stopping. Not because it's a JoJo reference, in case anyone's wondering, but just I think it would be so handy to be like, I'm just going to stop time and, you know, walk to the city or something. You're like, imagine how peaceful it would be. Although then again, there is the worry though that, like, you still keep aging while time stopped. So it's like, you'll get to the city and they'll be like, hello there. You're like, oh my god, what happened to your face?
Tell me 4 series that you like the most.
Will we do 2 and 2?
Yeah, let's do 2 and 2.
I would say Twin Peaks, definitely for one of them. Like, I'm trying not to...
Do you want to pick like a... You picked like a TV film one. Do you want to pick a video game one? We each do that and vary it up.
Oh, 4 series. I don't know why I was thinking of just... I don't know why. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, it has to be TV series. Because I'm like, what have I watched on Netflix recently? Oh yeah, it would definitely have to be like Sonic and things like that. I'm unashamedly a Sonic fan, so sue me.
Good for you.
I mean, you're just patting me in the head like, good for you. This is my last episode, you freak. But yeah, what would you say?
My favourite game series is the Batman Arkham games. Friends.
Oh, of course.
My favorite TV series is Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, that's true. Seinfeld is great though.
Amazing.
I mean, I suppose there's Friends as well, but it doesn't have the same.
Seinfeld's better. Sorry guys, but Seinfeld's better. Definitive case closed.
Moving on quickly before we get cancelled. Sea or mountain?
I prefer the sea, but I consider myself more of a mountain.
Yeah, I think the sea is more aesthetically pleasing. Like, mountains are cool and everything, you know, like Lord of the Rings and things. You know, like the sweeping shots of the mountains. I wasn't just going to end that and be like, yeah, Lord of the Rings, mountains, and then walk away from you. I suppose sea, but I'm not, I don't have sea legs. Yeah, next question.
Do you identify yourself with any song?
Yes, sir. I indeed can, Boogie. Why do you ask? Hey. What would you say?
I mean, I've been playing Hades recently, and there's a song in there called "Good Riddance." I don't particularly identify it, but I like the message of like kind of ridding yourself of things that aren't good for you or whatever, or holding you back. So as a message, I like it.
For a second there, I thought you were going to go with the sappy answer and go for something like a Bioshock Infinite. I was like,
That would have been the thing to choose, but. Yeah.
It's like,
I can't go back.
I've made my bed and now I'm lying in it. When you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Astronaut.
Yeah, pretty much the same. Or dinosaur, hunter, expert, person, MD.
Films that were popular.
Yeah, Jurassic Park was very popular, so don't sue us. Stegosaurus is for life. Screw you guys. See all these people going saying, oh, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. No, screw you. The Stegosaurus for the win. Anyway, sorry.
Which fictional character do you identify with the most?
A better version of myself. How about you?
In my head.
A red panda, apparently. Seems to be. That seems to be my whole identity in 2020.
Probably for me, Max Payne. Especially
Why?
in the third game, because he's a guy who's just out of shape, like can't be bothered, and keeps messing up. And I just really identify with those three things. I mean, the only thing I don't have is the painkiller addiction. But I'm slightly addicted to video games, so video games, painkillers, they're about the same thing.
Tomato, rhubarb, same thing. Will we do just a handful more?
Yeah, you'll pick a handful more.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick the last couple then?
Yeah, okay. What other things do you do in your free time?
To be honest, I really mostly game. It was funny, I was actually speaking to you and Green Shields about this recently. Yeah. I was like, God, I feel like I should try and do something else. But I just love video games. So, I mean, I also like, me and my fiance have a dog, so, like, play with him quite a lot. And we watch some films, we watch TV. Oh my God, we just finished up something recently. This is my mind is like a sieve now. Apologies. So we just did finish up a TV series recently, but I've forgotten mine. I like to read history books. So about those things.
I too do these things as well. No, like I wish I could say I game, which technically I do, but I haven't been gaming as much because I've been streaming, and I feel as if because I've been streaming I don't get the chance to game a lot, so I'm kind of like, oh god, yeah, it's not great. What I also like to do, and this is kind of like out of left field, but I like to learn languages. So I like to learn my main languages that I've been learning so far, although I took a bit of a break because of streaming and things, is Spanish and Mandarin. So yep, any people who know those languages or want to learn them, please feel free, please please contact me. Please, I need help. Por favor, I need help, please. Now, jokes aside, yeah, I usually like doing that, just kind of like looking for ideas with editing, that kind of thing. Just rewatching bad films like Starship Trooper. In fact, no, I tell why. It's an amazing film. Please go watch it.
It's a good film.
It's a good film. Oh, here's a good one. What topping would you add to a perfect pizza? I think I know your answer to this.
The one that you picked, whoever it was.
So barbecue chicken.
That was really tasty, actually, too.
Yes, and for me, I would say vegetables, more vegetables, peppers especially. What is your worst and best horror movie ever?
Oh, I think the worst one probably has to be that Alone in the Dark. I can't think of anything else that was like a worse horror film than that. And I think my favourite, I think the best, is probably John Carpenter's The Thing. I think I really like the kind of psychological horror in that, and yeah, like that one.
I think for me, it's definitely a toss-up. The worst horror film I've ever seen. I can't even remember the name of it. That's how bad it was. But it's a toss-up between that. So basically, it was a film where it was your stereotypical slasher with a mask going around killing people, and then plot twist, turns out it's like it's like a bunch of people doing it, and you're kind of like, that's just dumb. It was just stupid. And Black Sheep as well. That was just dumb. It was not a lot of fun. Best horror film. I like Scream, I have to say.
Oh, Scream was good.
Yeah, like, I know that's more of like a deconstruction, but I liked it. Although, does Hot Fuzz count as a horror film? If it does, then that. If it does, then that. If not, like, I do prefer Hot Fuzz to Shaun of the Dead, so I'm pointing that out right now.
That's it. End of the podcast, because I prefer Shaun of the Dead. It's no more.
That's well, we can both agree that the third one was the worst, surely. Oh, what was it called? World's End.
Take my silence as something.
I was waiting.
I prefer it to Hot Fuzz, mate.
No, okay, next week, that's what we're going to be talking about. There's no
We'll
way.
have to do this to watch them again.
We do.
I've seen some of them. But definitely that is my favourite album for him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's horror season coming up, so yeah, definitely.
Got ourselves a topic, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice. Okay, and last question of the night. Be honest, did you like the Star Wars prequels and the new movies?
I do not like the Star Wars prequel. Well, the first one is campy fun, and it's like Batman and Robin territory. It's fun to just laugh at.
Yeah.
The second film is dreadful. Is awful in every respect. And then the third one is like just below mediocre. It's fine. It's okay. And I liked episode 7 because it reminded me of episode 4, my favorite Star Wars. And I really liked episode 8. And they did a lot of interesting stuff, and I did not like episode because I felt they just threw everything interesting that 8 did away. Yeah. So
I'm in a similar boat, at least for the prequels. Like the first one, great. Second one, well, great in the sense it's like it's funny to like go back and laugh at it. The second one is, you're right, it's terrible. It's the only one like the old ones I will not defend. Like if I saw it getting beat up in an alley, I would just be like,
you deserve this.
It's like, nope,
I'd go join in.
Yeah. Here, hold my lettuce. I'm going in. Now this is pod racing. I liked Revenge of the Sith though. I thought that was good. And this is a phrase I use a lot, but for the sequels, like, is it the 7th one? Yeah, the 7th one.
Yeah.
The 7th one was okay. As you said, it too reminded me of the old ones. 8 and 9, yeah, it was just a pretty face. There was nothing going on underneath. To me personally, it was visually amazing, but yeah, everything else story-wise, I left with more questions than I did answers. I'm like, it's okay, the sequel will explain this, and you go in and it's like, oh, now I have even more questions. What the hell? Yeah, we'll definitely need to do like a chatsu on that one. Yes,
there you go.
Star Wars month. Star Wars month, Cornetto trilogy month, We've got a lot of months coming up, so.
Indeed.
Yeah, cannot wait for that. And speaking of cannot wait for that, yeah, that is the end of the episode. Adam, as I said before, and I'll say it again till the end of time, thank you so much for not only being the best host ever, but yeah, just joining me on this 50 episode adventure.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's honestly been a blast. Even though you made me watch Birdemic, like, I can forgive that because I've had such fun. I've had such fun doing this, doing this crazy little podcast with you, and I hope to be here for another 50 and beyond. So long may Chatsunami reign.
It'll be fine. So yeah, before we finish up, a couple of announcements before we leave off on this note. Of course, this is the 50th episode, so this is indeed marking the end of season 1. So if you haven't bought the Battle Pass yet, then you can indeed get your mother's credit card. And wait, hold on, I'm getting a call. Okay, right. For legal reasons, this is a joke. Do not get your mother's credit card and give me money. For legal reasons, do not.
Get your own credit card and then
get your own credit card. Be a man or a woman. And get your own credit. Nah, jokes aside, this is the last episode for our very first season of Chatsunami, which has been such a blast to do, both like with everyone involved and especially with you, Adam. So once again, thank you so much for joining me in season 1 and just this absolute roaring adventure. For season 2, We are indeed going to be shaking things up a bit, both with the format and, of course, the way we're actually going to be presenting these episodes. This is probably going to be one of the last episodes that we're doing live, and we're going to kind of transition more into uploading them weekly, but recording them off stream. Just in case anybody wonders or thinks, where's Chatsunami? Nobody asks, how's Chatsunami? Everyone says, where's Chatsunami? That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be recording this off stream, which, again, I'm really excited to kind of shake things up and start doing it like that. So it is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited for it, and I know you are as well.
Oh, me too. Me too. The fun doesn't stop here.
Oh, absolutely.
The roller coaster's not done yet.
I want to get off the Chatsu ride. You get off when I tell you to get. And yeah, we are also going to be starting a new series for Chatsunami. We have dubbed as Chatsunami. Any anime fans, you'll be like, I know what that is. For any non-anime fans, you're like, what the hell does that mean? Yeah, nani is basically I want to say it's the Japanese word for what, but I'm sure they've got like hundreds of ways to say it, so I apologise. As I said, learning Spanish and Chinese, and I'm not learning Japanese yet. I will get to it. But yeah, it's a common thing said in anime, so yeah. Chatsunami it's going to be called, and basically it'll be really just between myself, you, and our very good friend Green Shield. We're going to be talking about anime, different topics just regarding anime. We're going to get like a couple of friends along the way to drop in, I think, and yeah, it is going to be fun. Have a look out for that, okay? Have a look out both on
Watch the space.
Watch the space indeed. Thank you all so much for joining us in this amazing 50th episode. Thank you again, Adam. I'm going to say it for the third time. Thank you. Why?
Thank you to you.
Oh my god, you're in my living room. What the? And yeah, if you want to see more of our Chatsunami content, well, you're getting yourselves hyped up for season 2. So it'll probably be in about 2 weeks, I would say, give or take. 1 week if you're listening to this episode for season 2. And yeah, if you want to see more of the Chatsunami episodes, you can catch us on Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, and yeah, iTunes, Castbox. You know what? You got a podcast app? Look up Chatsunami. We will most likely be there. If not, delete that podcast app. Get a better one that has us on it. Wait. Sorry, getting a phone call. Yep. Okay, I'll tell them. Sorry, for legal reasons, that is also a joke. Do not delete your podcast app. But yeah, find us on Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, and iTunes, all good podcast apps. We will be there. And yeah, we are also on Twitter as well, under the name Chatsunami Pod. So if you want to keep up with more updates about the series, feel free to check us out there. And if you want to see more of the gaming content that we've got, you can catch us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch as well, of course, and Facebook under the name Satsunami42. If you want to see our antics on Heavy Rain, Breath of the Wild, Warzone as well, we did do a great Warzone one. Yeah, you can catch us there under the name Satsunami42 on YouTube. And yeah, I think that's it. Adam, do you have any closing remarks before we end this iconic episode?
Just, it's been a hell of a ride. It's been a hell of a ride up till now. As I say, like, we're not stopping anytime soon. So thank you for joining us, and please stay with us because we've got a lot of great content coming up. I promise.
Please
don't
I
leave us.
swear. Yeah.
Honest governor.
It's like, I want to go home. It's like, you'll go home when you record 50 more episodes. So yeah, guys, as always, stay safe, stay awesome, and most importantly, do you want to say it, Adam?
Oh, stay hydrated.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.